Sean Capri. Welcome to We the GamerCast. It publishes every single Monday at youtube.com/carpoolgaming and on podcast services on planet Mother Loving Earth. I might have sparked a bit of a migraine with that. I got a little excited. It felt good in the moment. Felt good in my throat. Did not feel great in my cranial region. Thank you so much for being here, for telling your friends, for telling your moms, for telling your dads. If you have multiples of those, I guess. Thanks for telling your mother-in-law, for spreading the good word. That's what I'm trying to say. I really appreciate it. We can't do it without you. And I'm glad that you're here. We've got a great old school style We the GamerCast. And I'm realizing as we enter in December, we're going into our 8th year, since 7 years since we started this. Is that how that works? I don't know. I need Brian Craig. I need the math man coming back to teach me how this stuff works, man. But December of 2015, the first episode with Seamus Mullins, the man who made it happen, the man who made me believe that this is maybe something that could be a thing. 7 years later, I think I was married at the time, but I didn't have any kids, that's for sure. And tons of stuff has happened in the last 7 years. So that's why I'm writing a book about it. Man, thanks all everybody who supports us at patreon.com. I'll do this now. Patreon.com/carpoolgaming, especially our, what are they called? Ultimate producers. Guys, I'm a mess. I will explain it in a second, but I'll explain the headache. Ultimate producers, my good friend Robby Bobby Miller. You should subscribe to his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Robby Bobby Miller. Trucker Sloth. Our thoughts are with you, my friend. Hopefully everything is doing all right with you. Tony Baker from Quest for Pixels. Go subscribe at youtube.com/quest4pixels with the number 4. Dallas Ford, co-host of the Blame Game, support Dallas and Argo at YouTube. That link is in the description below. Johnathan Brown with his new EP from PME called Gems on Apple Music and Spotify and pretty much everywhere else. He's got all the links in the description, you guys, along with everybody else. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, rounding out a very special 2022. The links are all in the show notes. Please support these ultimate producers. Our platinum producers, Marcus McCracken and RJ Kern, and our gold members, Anna, Cecily Carrozza, Dallas Robbins, Drellish, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Jose Jimenez, Marcus O'Neill, Skinny Matt, and the Snack Networker. I need to explain a little something. I was thinking midway through, just to totally pull the curtain back for you guys. I'm like, maybe I just do this over again. I don't think I can do that scream over again. I as you know, I've been on a journey with my fitness and with my health, and I feel like I'm kind of at odds. And I used to talk to Bobby Pauls about this a lot, actually, where we make a choice, or at least this is the way that I see it. Not necessarily everybody makes this choice, but for every hour that I sit and play games and or make content, it's an hour that I'm not moving. Yeah, I'm very aware of how stationary this whole thing can be. And so, especially over the last couple of years, I wasn't very happy with the level of activity or the lack of activity. And over the last, 6-7 months or so, I kind of made it a priority. And so just before recording this, which is turning out to be maybe the worst decision I've done today, I ran 15 kilometers. 15K was actually, and I ran it pretty well. Like it was pretty fast and maintained my pace that I've been doing at 10K for the most part and feel pretty good, but I'm a mess. Like you can't just, or at least I can't. Here's my experience. I can't just like run that. And I haven't run a 15K since I did a half marathon back in September, which that was a whole thing. But I mean, like, it wrecks me, dude. Like, I don't know if that really comes across. I'm really proud of the progress. I tweeted that out a little bit earlier that I think I shaved about 20 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes or so off of my 15K time from 3 months ago. Like, I've been working hard at this, but this is what happens to my brain after this. Like, I am wiped, dude. That is pretty intense. So I also, like, I don't know, I'd love to hear from the other runners out there. There's lots of you who listen to this. What is your experience after a long run? Because for me, headaches come like big time. And I feel like there's no more water to be, this is like my third, I don't know, for the video, I've got 24 ounces. This is 20, I've drank like 3 of these in the last, half an hour or so. So I'm guzzling. I need tricks. What else do I need to do to stave off these headaches? I took an Advil. So I'm trying to keep it together. The hat, probably not a good idea, just compressing and the headphones. Anyways, that's enough about that. Enough complaining. I'm very proud of the progress. And this is probably as good as I've ever been to myself in December and really prioritizing this fitness journey. And I've got like this, like, as it has turned out, this is one of my favorite things that happens every once in a while when you dedicate yourself, or again, me, I shouldn't say you, this is my experience. It turns out that I've basically been doing at least a 10-kilometer run every weekend for a while, actually. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I decided I'm going to push myself a little bit more, and might have a few things coming up on that front. But I'm feeling really good, and I'm able to push myself and not completely destroy myself. Right now, it's just kind of like, I just got home. So I'm like, I got to do this because Ryan Turfer's waiting for all this stuff to put together so that everybody can watch it on YouTube. But my apologies. My weekend kind of got away from me. I got lights that work now. I'm excited you guys are here, but I'm getting way ahead of myself because if you're new, here's the deal. This is the longest I've ever done this one. If you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger from the internet, and if you want to be on the show, it's easy. Just tweet at me at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. I'm not gonna belabor the point anymore. I'm barely making any sense at all. So let's just get into it. This week, I am going to be talking to, or I did, and you're going to be listening to someone who doesn't have a podcast, someone that doesn't have a channel. And that is awesome. Because guess what? These people actually play games. Quagmire, obviously, title of the show. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode. I gotta have voices like this on more of the shows. I'm trying to think this through. So many things going on. We got our Game of the Year conversation coming up pretty soon. We got Game Awards happening this week. There's so many things. I'm doing like this. I'm cramming for the Game of the Year conversation. It's not going well. I had this like, what if I just stay up late and blah, blah, blah. It's not happening, but I am getting active. So that's the trade-off, but that's for another day. Maybe at the end of this, maybe at the end of the podcast, we'll come back to it. But Quagmire was just stellar. And I think he crushed this conversation, crushed the podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So here he is, my good friend and yours, Quagmire. Well, I'm glad that you're here. Glad we finally get to catch up because you're so active in the Discord. I'm like, this guy's got some things on his mind. I feel like we gotta get some of these things out, dude. Like, I don't know where you want to start. Like, Pokemon seems to be the latest, greatest, and I don't know, maybe might even be making a turn. And I'm sure people are going to be throwing shade at me. But how are you feeling about Pokemon these days, dude?
Well, I will say I bought Scarlet and Violet. Have not played it yet. I showed my 5-year-old daughter.
Okay.
That,
has somebody played it? She's played it?
No, like what we've done is gonna wrap it under the Christmas tree.
Oh.
And, have it for I've had it for Christmas. But I kind of feel like I'm part of the problem because I bought $120 worth of Pokemon and 10 million copies in 3 days or something crazy, and it's a buggy mess. From what I've heard, I haven't played it. But,
yeah.
I'm hoping they fix it. Especially by Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, until she got excited about it, I was gonna hard pass Scarlet and Violet. I just kind of had a bad feeling about it. And again, I hope I'm end up being wrong and they fix it. But yeah, I played Arceus and kind of got I forced myself to finish it. Like I was enjoying it, and it's like it seems kind of same thing over and over again. And I haven't played Pokemon Red and Blue until Arceus. Until Sword and Shield. So I've been kind of like a long Pokemon fan coming back. I missed a lot, obviously.
Oh, nice. I want to get back to the origins of your Pokemon in a bit here, but I want to touch on something you just said, which is like, it's different to buy a game for our kids and keep it for Christmas, and that's separate from what I'm ragging on, Seth and Lachlan and everybody else who's buying this game in spite of it being an issue. Like, I feel like that's completely different. And I think we have to be able to kind of differentiate, and also, I don't know the last time that I even bought a game and could not play it right then and there. The fact of picking up a game and keeping it for a birthday or a Christmas present, I think that's also something we should keep in mind, that's something that is very normal in most of us. That's how we played most of our games growing up, I think.
Yeah, I normally don't have the willpower. I mean, I've been kind of tempted to she won't really know that the plastic seal is gone, right? It's like,
just say you got to hit GameStop. That's what they do, man.
And actually, I forgot about that. I picked up a couple games on Black Friday, and it kind of pissed me off. It's like, they got the little crappy sticker that when you peel it off, it has all the, I'm very anal about my Switch cases. I don't like any of that sticky residue, and so it might be it for GameStop. I know you're not a big fan, but that kind of
GameStop, no,
from them forever, and I forgot about that. Yeah.
No, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a bit for them to win me back. I think, but also I think it's the location. Like, I think part of it is the just, what they do and all this other stuff. But I think it's like, I can't wait for one of them to discover this show and like where I am and who they are. Like for somebody to like put it together. But like the location that I go to, they just seem to hate life. Like they hate them. It's like Clerks, but not nearly as entertaining. Like they hate the customers. They hate everything that's going on. They're not even supposed to be there today. Like it's all this stuff. And so I just, I'd rather, we have choices as it turns out. So I don't know. I don't want that, but it's nice to be able to, going back, it's nice to be able to buy a game, not have to rip it open, and then look forward to like that joy on the kid's face of just, I'm opening this thing. I can't believe it's here. How lucky am I? Because we've been grown-ups now for a while. We can do whatever we want, but like they're kids.
and sometimes it's to my detriment because I just like jumped on like 5 games Black Friday, and
yes.
I'm playing Persona 5. I'm playing Persona 5 right now. I don't have time to play anything else. Like
yes.
It's like a huge time sink, and they're on the shelf behind me. But
it's a beautiful shelf.
It's just like I buy all these games and I try to play most of them, but it's kind of. I know you used to talk with the eShop with Kato and stuff. It's just kind of like it's fun buying them,
I feel like this whole Black Friday thing might be, I don't know if it's a channel in the Discord or what, or we just jump on a podcast and go like, so what did you buy? It's kind of like it's like the adult version of like the Christmas haul. Like, what did you get, man? Like, what did you like? Treat yourself. We work hard, man. These things are on sale. What else what do people expect us to do? So you got Persona 5. What else? I saw you got 2 other Switch games. You get Doki Doki on there or something?
Yeah, so I know very little about it other than everyone says it's amazing because it's one of those things that you think it's this dating sim and then it turns out to be like a psychological horror. I mean, that's like all I know.
Yep.
And
okay.
I just heard it's so good. $17, I felt like I couldn't not get that. Hotline Miami collection. Did you ever play Hotline?
That is excellent. Good for you. Those games are awesome. Yes, I played the first one on Vita way back in the day, actually.
Yeah, I've played them on Steam, but the soundtrack is just killer, and
yes.
I can see that just being fun to just jump into every now and then. So got that for 15.
Mm-hmm.
Got Sonic Mania for 10 at Walmart. Heard Sonic Mania was pretty good.
These are all physical games you got?
Physical, yeah. I'm pretty much a physical gamer. I used to PC game when you didn't have a choice. So I feel like when I went to the Switch, I missed all my physical games. So other than I think a free copy of Bayonetta that I got when I bought Bayonetta 2 physical,
right,
and maybe a couple or indies or two. 99% of my collection is physical.
And is it Switch only? What consoles are you playing with here?
So right now I am Switch only.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
you
came
say
from
that
like,
in a certain way. What is that?
Well,
is that shame? Is that embarrassing?
No, it's not shame, but like it's kind of weird because I'm going from one extreme to another. So I was basically part of the PC master race. Like, I want to play my games at 140 more frames. I was a really big Rocket League player. I'm actually meant to check my hours. I'm like probably approaching 4,000 hours on Steam.
Get out of here. That's awesome.
Yeah. Most played game on Steam by far. Rocket League is, I will argue, the best multiplayer game out there, period.
I got to see you play, man. It's rare that I get to chat with somebody who's put thousands of hours into Rocket League. That's amazing.
Well, I will say playing on the Switch is rough because, I have a computer where I can play at 144 and Switch maybe gets 30 if you're lucky. It's rough. So we, got a new house this summer. I don't really have a good setup because turns out the wired connections in my daughter's bedroom. So I'm sure she doesn't want me to set up her computer in her room. So need to figure that out with Comcast. So
drill some holes, get some cables running all over the house, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to piss my wife off and buy a 200-foot Ethernet cable and see if I can get a late Cyber Monday deal.
Dude, I've got literally, I'm talking to you on a computer attached to a 100-foot Ethernet cable. It goes around behind this closet, out that door, around the wall, and then my wife's computer upstairs, same thing. I literally drilled a hole in the floor, dropped it down into the basement. And now we're like,
all right, cool. So I'm gonna blame you when I do that now.
please do end this clip. You can send it to your wife. Yeah. And
Will do.
yeah, it's amazing. She's so funny because when I did that, it was taking me a little while to wrap my head around it. But I knew that that's what I want. I'm very particular about wired versus Wi-Fi, and my wife is kind of like, you know, like she understands what I was trying to do, but it was taking me a long time. And eventually, I got it all working. Everything's great. And a couple of weeks ago, our Chromecast started to kind of act up. It was buffering a lot, and Bluey wasn't working the way that it should. And I'm like, you know what?
Then the kids are freaking out.
That's just it. So now all of a sudden, it's a real problem. And so we've got wired internet up there, and I'm like, I could just, I got a little network switch, and I could throw a cable up to that Chromecast, a little LAN adapter, and we're set, man. And we fixed it, and it's all because of hardwired internet. Shout out to hardwired internet, man. Wi-Fi, I don't know, can't trust it, especially when I'm doing this all the time.
We got in the new house mesh Wi-Fi. You familiar with that?
Yep. Can't trust it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's better, but
sure it's great.
I have the Switch on it, and again, I think that's another reason why with my Switch, I don't even try to do multiplayer games because one, Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing. Two, the Wi-Fi is just not consistent, and like you said, I need to start drilling some holes in the floor apparently. So
yep, you cover them up. You put a couch over top or something like that, or actually, I shouldn't say it. It's not like it's in the middle of the floor. It's not like I'm gonna put like a fireman's pole in the middle of it or anything. Although that would be amazing. Who needs stairs? Let's just use this pole.
Exactly.
I'm getting like this stupid picture in my head right now. It's in the closet. It's underneath a bunch of the shoe rack and everything. So you can barely see it. I was a little conspicuous about it, so it's okay. It's all good now. But what else did you get on there about their Black Friday?
I'm trying to think. Near Automata.
Dude,
I got that. I
saw you mention that it's one of the that you're particularly fond of this game. You bought it somewhere else. Now you got it on Switch. What's going on with this game?
Basically, I'm really big into soundtrack. So, got Hotline Miami's killer soundtrack, Near Automata killer soundtrack. Double dipped on both of them. Played both on Steam before, but I'm like, I can definitely want to play through this again and play it through on handheld. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
What happened to the PC though? Like, is it gone? Or are you just not able to use it anymore?
No, I still have it. It just hasn't been plugged in since my third daughter was born. Because basically, my man cave, I got kicked out before we moved.
Travesty! So, what an absolute tragedy, dude! Holy cow! How did this happen?
Yeah.
Oh, because they literally needed the bedroom.
Yeah, basically. Well, at first we were thinking about bunking up to two of the kids, but like I kind of felt bad. I'm like, well, I mean, I don't need the bedroom. I mean, especially because at that time I was playing mostly Switch and really, I just like, I don't know, I kind of got to the point like where I guess a lot of the people I played Rocket League with were probably a good 10 years younger than me. So, they're staying up till 2:00 in the morning and I try to keep up. And then, my kids wake up at 6 and I just wasn't sleeping.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Like, I love Rocket League, but I can't like, not sleep. So, I have kind of taken a break from it until I figured out. And basically now, if I play like Xenoblade or Persona for an hour or two each night, at least I make some progress. And, granted, sometimes some nights with Xenoblade 3, I did stay up till 2 a.m., but it's not consistent. So
I might have done that earlier this week. I was streaming and I was like, I got to go to bed, guys. I'm being really good this week. I'm going to bed on time. I'm getting up early. I'm going for my workouts. And I had a couple of enablers in the chat and hanging out with me. And I may have gone to bed I did at 2 a.m. And it wasn't even like, I don't even know that I was streaming all the way up until 2, but whatever time I was done, it was like, I was just like amped up, man. Like I need like a cool down period. You know what I mean? I can't just go like computer off. I guess I'll just go crash. At least not from streaming, I don't think. Sometimes I'll fall asleep just with a controller in my hand. Just like, I'm just kind of conked out on my old man chair out there. But this notion of like, it's such a significant transition going from hardcore Rocket League playing like all PC to, I guess I just need to have something that I can have in my hands and not dedicate an entire room to. Like, talk to me about that, man. Because that seems like I guess you could do worse than the Switch, but that's a pretty big jump, and all, I guess, in the name of keeping gaming within your life.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I'm trying to remember. So basically, the way it started, my wife surprised me for my birthday in 2019 with a Switch. Like, I didn't ask for it. Like, I mean, I kind of, especially with Breath of the Wild, I was like, well, do I want to get one? And around the time that came out, there was a big sale on Witcher 3, which kind of got my open world fix. So I was good for a minute. And then, that was in 2017, fast 2 years. She gets it. And I'm like, well, now I got to get Breath of the Wild. Now I got to get, Mario Kart. Now and so, I mean, the addiction started. I felt like in that first month I had like 6 games. And it's like, you know what? This is actually nice. Like, give my wife TV. I'm on the couch. In the same room, and it seems silly because I mean, like, again, we're doing 2 different things, but other than like being on the other side of the house, playing Rocket League, and she's downstairs watching a movie, like it seems like there's more like, just being in that same common area seems like you're more connected type thing. So like I kind of dropped Rocket League like about half again with like the sleeping too, but I don't know. It just I've been a big Nintendo fan for a while, and when the Wii came out, I basically I'm like, there's no good game. Wii bowling. That's about it, right? So like I dropped Nintendo hard for a while, and I guess I forgot how much I miss Nintendo. I guess is the best way to explain it. And had to get my Zelda, had to get my Mario, and turns to find out had to get my Xenoblade. Like
yes,
I mean literally favorite game franchise ever. Like not Nintendo franchise, like ever. Like Xenoblade is top tier for me.
It's not. My reaction is not because I don't think Xenoblade is undeserving, because it's obviously like a high quality franchise. I guess like I'm sometimes surprised when it's not like Zelda or Pokemon or something that's been around for like 100 years. Like Xenoblade isn't necessarily brand new, but it's fairly new in the kind of in the video game conversation. So I'm always kind of like a little bit taken by that, because it's just that the recency that it can just become a favorite. What is it about Xenoblade that kind of like captures you?
So I think a lot of it was just with how surprised I was by it. Like, when it first, technically it came out in 2017. I had no idea because I didn't have a Switch at that time.
I totally missed it. Well, even the original one. You're talking about the definitive edition.
True.
Like,
good point. So since I missed the Wii, I didn't even know Xenoblade exists on the Wii. Apparently it came out on 3DS. I didn't have a 3DS either. Yep. So again, I had this big Nintendo blind spot. And then I think it was when I had Twitter. I didn't get rid of Twitter because of what's going on. I got rid of Twitter a long time ago.
Good for you. Honest, that's a better reason to do it. Just like what a garbage.
But I do still kind of keep up with. Are you familiar with Stealth 40K?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so he was talking big game on Xenoblade Definitive Edition.
This makes a lot of sense. Yep.
I kept kind of looking into it. And like, well, like I played World of Warcraft. Like it was okay because I kind of thought the combat was similar. And it's like, but I don't know if I want to play World of Warcraft on my Switch. Like it doesn't sound that good. But he kept saying, this is like one of the best games ever. Like the second one's like his favorite. And, I'm just like, okay, he drawed me in with, I think the fall before that with Dragon Quest 11. And I was totally in love with that game.
Dude,
so I'm like,
these RPGs, man. Holy cow.
I think this guy, Stealth, knows what he was talking about. So I picked up Xenoblade Definitive Edition at launch, and I couldn't put it down. Like the story, the soundtrack, the MMO combat, I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. And once I finished it, I'm like, okay, I need to get the second one. And I went to GameStop. It's the only place I could find it. I had bought a used copy, and I'm actually glad I bought it when I did, because it was like 4 or 5 months before Pyra and Mythra got announced in Smash. And after that, either the prices skyrocketed or you couldn't find it. So I was lucky enough to get that, picked up the expansion pass, and actually the second one is my favorite. After playing Torna, then I actually replayed through Torna right before waiting for Xenoblade.
You're talking about replaying all these Xenoblade games, dude. No, I am loving this.
I'd have to. I got a new Switch. I got the OLED, so it reset my hours. But I mean, I'm sure I had like 200 hours in Xenoblade too, easy.
Unreal, man. Yeah.
But it's it's worth it. I mean, I know it's a hard sell to tell someone like, hey, go play 200 hours of Xenoblade. It's worth it.
Just get through the first 75. It's great after that.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like that's what I'm holding out for 3. 3 was great. I'm not saying that 3 wasn't great, but I didn't really enjoy 2 until I played Torna because it brought so much context. No spoilers, but it just made everything make a lot more sense. And then when you replay it, you pick up on things.
Wait a second. You're literally saying just play through the first and then get to the DLC so that it's actually good. Okay. This is actually not even a joke.
It just like it references things that you don't pick up
That's
on
so
when you
good.
play it the first time, but then after you play Torna, it's like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Like it just the puzzle pieces come together. But
we were just talking about that with the Lord of the Rings extended editions. Like, just watch the 4.5 hour versions. It's great. It's totally fine. I love this. I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm like, we got to get you on the RPG cave, dude. Like, this is the thing. You guys are all out there. You know more about games than any of us on stinking podcasts. Goodness gracious, you actually play them.
I don't know if Garrett would want me on there. I know he really didn't like Torna because it has like mandatory side quests, and I'm definitely not defending them. Like the mandatory side quests are bad, but I guess the overall game story I thought was made it worth it. But
yeah,
I think he considered it unplayable because of mandatory side quests. So,
Well, if Garrett is known for anything, it's dissenting opinions, and he really dislikes them. So he definitely won't. He won't have any part of it. He's a very, we all know him as the lovable doctor on podcasts, but behind the scenes, he's obviously just a tyrant. So. No, that's awesome, dude. Like this is incredible. I had no idea that there was these thousands of hours, hundreds of hours, like lurking of RPG experience. This is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and I really can't wait for the story scenario to come out for 3 because I'm hoping that it'll be like the same thing, that it's going to connect some things that just going to kind of be mind blowing like 2 was. So, but we'll see. I don't want to get my expectations too high. But
so, how frustrating is it to listen to us yahoos who don't get to play through all of the things? You're just like, what are you even talking about? Like, just play the dang games.
Well, I did feel responsible. I think might be the reason why Kato left, because I kept asking, when is she going to play Xenoblade? When is she going to play Xenoblade? And then it was just a couple weeks after that, she disappeared. And then a couple weeks after that, she quit. So, I just want to apologize to Kato on the record. So
no, that probably makes more sense than any other reason that was brought up. Totally. Nobody's come on to take responsibility for Kato leaving Carpool Gaming and the Nintendo Drive, but I appreciate you, man. That's awesome. So let me go back to Nier, because I was really taken by that post. Like, what a masterpiece. I think we have a few Nier stands in the Discord as well. What is it about Nier that kind of gets you like, yeah, man? Because again, like this is I don't know if it's necessarily niche or like it's almost like a bit of a cult following. People who, if you know that Nier is a great game.
And I'd agree if it's niche. It's just because it's one of those things that I think in the very beginning of the game, it starts out, and hopefully with it being beginning of the game, this isn't spoilers, but I mean it's like a twin stick shooter. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought this was like a character action game, kind of like Devil May Cry, and then it's like at some point it's it's like this 8-bit shooter, and it's like, so it's just constantly changing. I think at one point, or most of them thinking of Replicant, it's even a text-based adventure. So like it just literally does everything. Get out of here!
I didn't know that.
But yeah, sorry.
No, it's not. And I don't think you say like, dancing around spoilers. Like I feel like, especially with Nier, that area that you're like the opening, whatever it is, hour, 90 minutes or so, is like the reason that you should play it. It's not even that it's a spoiler. Like you should go in and go experience this, because it's unlike any opening probably ever.
Yeah.
Like unless there's something in Replicant or the original that I haven't played, but I was like, what even is this? This is incredible. It's almost got like a side-scrolling part to it as well at some point. Like the camera angle just kind of like shift around, and you just don't even know like how to place it. And I don't know if it's just, I feel like games are so predictable now. Like I feel like I know what I'm going to be playing before I even play it. And that one I had no clue. And it wasn't just how weird the story is. It's all of it. And I am a huge fan now. But I'm a bit of a fake fan, I think, because I have only rolled like the first story credits.
Sean, you got to finish it. Yeah, do it.
How long do I got? What are we talking about here?
Well, I did check my Steam not too long. It took me 33 hours to go through all the endings. So
that's
not
that's
Xenoblade
respectable.
level.
That is respectable. Yeah, that's like the tutorial in Xenoblade, I think. I think you're just finally rolling through tutorials.
I think you still get tutorials in Xenoblade 3 around the 50-hour mark, if I recall correctly.
Bonkers, dude. That is so wild. That is, though, like, I've got a bit of a, like, I could categorize my backlog and just go like by hours, and like the RPG hours of backlog, even just from this year. I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of, we had a lot of great RPGs coming out this year as well. So people like you were probably, you're eating well, I think, as the kids say.
Yeah, I definitely didn't pick up all of them because it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Triangle Strategy, I skipped. I think that wasn't your and Kato's fan or thing.
I just didn't get around to it enough, honestly. Like, and it has nothing to do with the game. It's fun to make fun of because it's a stupid name, and they talk a lot, and apparently they're fighting over salt. So, what the hell is that about?
So I definitely be selective because I definitely couldn't play. It was crazy the amount of JRPGs this year.
Seriously, yeah. Like, what is Square doing? Like, like them on their own, Square Enix. Like, just if it was like, and it's not like they're the only ones releasing these games. Obviously, with Xenoblade coming out and a bunch of others, but like, man, so many, and they're so compelling. Like, there's something happening. It's almost like a golden age of JRPGs all over again. Like, since back in the maybe Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 days. Like, we're back to it, man.
It's beautiful.
Were you there in those days as well? Like, how far back does now let's go back in the history. Like, what were you doing back in the Super Nintendo days?
So,
or were you born? I can't tell how old you were.
No, I was born. I'm a little younger than you, but the Super Nintendo was the first console I owned, but I didn't really play any JRPGs. I don't think I even knew what they were. I had Super Mario World. Sure. I had Jungle Book. I had a lot of Disney games.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a lot of Disney games because, of course, it's like, well, if you like the movie, you like the game, right?
Of course.
So, but I think in college, I kind of tapped back into some of the retros. I picked up Final Fantasy 2, or technically Final Fantasy 4, but the label says 2, so I call it Final Fantasy 2.
I'm with you, man. Yep.
And Ryan Turford talked about it on the RPG Game. It's one of the Lufia games as an RPG as well that I really liked playing.
Nice.
Back in college, but so it's kind of, I don't think I realized I liked RPGs until later in life, and maybe a lot of them required a lot of reading, so harder for kids, young kids to play. You can kind of figure out Mario, but
yeah, well, and it seems like I'd be hard pressed. I guess Rebecca is actually Rebecca from the Nintendo Shack, one of the only people that I'm aware of who like grew up with video games and Nintendo around, but like not Mario. Like, it seems like you'd have to do it on purpose. You have to try somehow to like avoid it. But I mean, I guess she did. But where did the video games come in to the family for you? Like, do you have an older brother? Or like, did you just have a friend that had it and you wanted to get it, or how did that happen for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how it started. So, I mean, my dad doesn't play video games now, but he had like the Intellivision back in the day. That was like before I was around. And actually, my first gaming memory, and I want to preface this that I have great parents, and I think I turned out okay.
No. But that's always a good preface. They're lovely people, but
my first gaming memory is watching, and I was probably like 3 or 4 years old, was watching my dad play Wolfenstein 3D on his Windows 3.1.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
I didn't know what
could have been worse.
True,
I think.
True.
Yeah.
I didn't know, obviously what was happening. I obviously enjoyed it when I watched it, but that I played. Gosh, these are some old ones, but Ski Free. Are you familiar with that? It's like a free skiing game on Windows, and there's some little monster that comes out of the woods and eats you if you get too far down. It's kind of scary for.
I totally played that game. Very small character, like very not big sprites or anything, just tiny little. Yes. Oh, that's the memory on that. I think you just pulled that out of nowhere. That like you remembered the name of it, dude. I gotta check that out afterwards because we.
Well, I will say I did Google the name, but I was like, okay, what's the skiing with the monster? And it came up automatically. Google.
That is so bizarre, though. Like, it's just like this. You're just going around, and all of a sudden, like this dude comes out, and it's like, what is happening here? Games are so random back then. Like, they're just trying to like whatever could be held together by whatever programming they had. That's what we got. That's what we
Yeah,
played.
before the
Skate
SRB,
free.
they tried to give it away if they could. So
Oh my gosh. I guess, yeah, that's hilarious, man. That's awesome. Wolfenstein is between Wolfenstein and Doom, because that's what I grew up with playing as well. And yeah, I would say the exact same thing. Like, my parents were great. But at the same time, maybe a little, like, I don't know if hypocritical is the word or contradicting all the time, that like there were certain music or movies that we couldn't watch, but absolutely play, Doom with the BFG and the Wolfenstein, and you're stabbing dogs and Nazis and whatever else. Like, the fact that we're just roaming around, there's like Hitler posters like in this video game on the walls. All right, I guess that's fair game for the 7-year-olds in the house.
Yeah, it was pretty much violence was fine. If there's boobs, no, we can't do it.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no kidding. So where did you grow up?
So I've pretty much my whole life been in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice. Oh, nice. I was there, man. Could have visited. That was a couple of years ago, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw when you came home from Extra Life that you say it was like -30 or something. I mean, I've never seen temperature that cold. I think it's been single digits Fahrenheit here, and that was like miserable. So
come on up, man. Imagine. Come on. It's so cold. I don't even know how to describe it at this point. Like, it's actually scary. I feel bad for the animals when it gets this cold. I look outside and like, how is there anything even surviving out here? Yep. Look outside and they're all doing like the penguins huddle, like from March of the Penguins. Just all these animals just like I complain when like I'm wearing a sweater inside of a heated home. I'm like, oh wow, sucks out here. It's like, I don't know, there's bears and coyotes out there. It's gotta be awful for them. But I don't know. My wife this morning actually said, why do we choose to live here? We're not prisoners. Like, we can go anywhere else, like, really. But we stay. We just get 6 hours of sunlight every day, and that's it.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I always thought of that made me never live somewhere where like I had to like shovel myself out of snow to go to work, because sometimes like you kind of have a rough morning and you don't want to go to I feel like I'd be like, that's a good excuse. I don't want to shovel myself out of snow to go to work today.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a Canadian kind of what is it, like, it's a milestone for you to wake up, you've got a foot of snow on your car, so you'll use your arm as like a wiper. So you've got your jacket on and you just use your arm to move all the snow off the windshield and off the lights and everything, so that you can just get enough of a window outside of the windshield so you can see where you're going and hopefully not smash into anything else. And then you drive fast enough for the snow to blow off, and it's real good. This is the way of life up here, dude. It's a mess.
Well, here in Atlanta, I think we made the national news about 10 years ago with the snowpocalypse, where the whole city was shut down because of half an inch ice.
Oh.
So needless to say, we invested in a lot of salt trucks after that, because we didn't want to be the laughing stock again. So.
But it's the opposite, and a lot of Canadians like to laugh at stuff like that, and I refuse to, because when it gets to like 85 or 90, like, we are melting. It's like we can't handle it. So it's just what you're used to. You get a little bit of snow, it's like it's completely unfounded. But it's Christmas time. It's December as we record this, and I feel like there should be snow for Christmas. So I feel very fortunate that I live a couple blocks away from the North Pole, I think.
Nice. Santa has a short journey for you.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're first, so it gets dark here real quick. We all go to bed super early, and then he's right here, man. So yeah, so PC gaming was kind of like where things started mostly, or the Super Nintendo with the Jungle Book and everything.
So, I mean, I was basically like a Nintendo fanboy for this time. So I had the Super Nintendo. I got the Nintendo 64. I was that kid, like, the meme, Nintendo 64. Like, I mean, it was like, I was 8. It was like amazing.
Yeah.
Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye. You can see my parents got me GoldenEye, so that was fine. So I was like, 10. Had the GameCube, loved the GameCube. And then, the Wii. Once the hit, I'm just like, I think I'm done. It was around the time I went to college too, and I think part of me was like almost embarrassed. It was like, Nintendo Mario's considered like the kiddie console.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? I'm gonna get a Xbox 360.
I'm an adult.
I'm gonna be an adult. Be the cool kid in the dorm. And I can't even play first person shooters anymore. I think I burned myself out. Like, I just maybe never realized that I wasn't really that big of a first-person shooter.
Oh,
fan.
wow!
Like, I know everyone freaked out about Halo Infinite coming out.
Nothing. Like,
I played Halo 3, but I guess I don't miss it.
The JRPGs, man, you just got to have 100 hours of gameplay or whatever.
Yeah, and I really regret that I had a Game Boy Advance, and there are some good JRPGs on that, but I missed the DS.
Yeah.
I missed the 3DS, and I heard that those were really amazing consoles.
Do you ever want to go
handhelds.
back? Like, I'm fascinated by the fact that you got your Switch in 2019. And it's so funny because, like, I would go back. We've been doing these podcasting things for so many years. And I remember, like, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months after the Switch comes out, it's like, who still doesn't have one? And then a year or two goes by, it's like, who doesn't have one? And a game would come out, and then, another 10 million Switches would walk out the door. And it's amazing to me that at some point, like today, somebody just got their very first Switch. They've never had one before. And the reason I bring it up as a question for you is, like, what is it like getting a Switch? I had mine on day one, so I don't have this experience. You get your Switch, and then you just, like, look back on the last 2 years and go, look at this library. Like, it's 2 years. You had 2017, which is arguably one of the best years of Nintendo games released ever, with Odyssey and Splatoon 2. And yeah, I mean, just overall games. Yeah, don't even have to have the narrowing factor of it being Nintendo. 2017 was one of those years for sure. So you're not collecting them up as it goes along. 2019, you wake up, you get a Switch. Was it for your birthday, you said?
Birthday, yeah.
And then you just can go back and see what you missed. Like, that is remarkable to me.
Yeah, I went on a buying spree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got Breath of the Wild, I got Mario Tennis, I got Bayonetta 2. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Mario, or what was the Wii U re-release? Like Super Mario Bros. U, I think.
Yeah, the U, U Deluxe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was feasting well. Like I was just
kidding.
like buying games like left and right, probably full price. It wasn't even went for sale. I had to have it.
Nintendo, I know. I also love, this might be the very first time you might have just made history there, where when talking about video games and being excited about them, you put Breath of the Wild right next to Mario Tennis. That might have been the very first time that's ever been done. I don't know, man. I love it.
Yeah, that was so. I was really big on Mario Tennis for GameCube, and I was excited, like, oh, this is going to be an awesome Mario Tennis, and it wasn't. Yeah. I got burned by that, and also I got suckered into golf. I learned my lesson with strikers. I did not buy strikers.
Attaboy.
So,
yeah. See, I can't give you a hard time about Pokemon when you did so well with strikers. Like, I get it. I traded it back in, so I'm okay. I turned it into something, God knows what. Some game I bought on Black Friday that I'll probably never play, and that seems to make me happier. I don't know, man. What the heck is wrong with me? That's awesome.
Hey, I'm right there with you. So we're in it together. So
I appreciate that. That actually makes me feel, well, a little better, I guess. So 2019 you get a Switch, you get to go back, and now you're kind of be able to keep up with it and play RPGs 3 or 4 times over, which is amazing. Why don't you get a 3DS, man? How about I enable you a little bit here? Like, those games, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Like, if I was making content, I don't know how I would be playing games. I'd be very curious, because if you picked up a 3DS or a DS, you don't have to, like, wonder, are we going to get a Mario Strikers or are we going to get a Breath of the Wild? Like, I'll just tell you, these are the games on 3DS. Like, that's it. Not just me, but, like, the whole internet. Like, we've been there. So that could be really exciting for someone to go back. And if you don't care about having the latest hardware or whatever, like, the 3DS is spectacular, dude. And if you just need to be in the same room as your family, does that too. It's really good.
I am tempted, because I really thought by now they would have released the Metroid on 3DS, the Samus Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Got the shirt, but
that's a sick shirt. Well, look at that. I've got the game right here. I picked up while sitting right next to Ryan Turfer. I'm looking for an excuse, basically. Right now I'm in Game of the Year cramming session. I've got the exam that I'm studying for. But, like, some things, for some reason, I've got to bust out some old hardware, because the 3DS is really special. And I would say, even though I had a Wii U, I feel like my love for Nintendo and the way that it's situated right now, like, I would thank the 3DS for that, in sort of like a second coming almost as an adult now. It was just weird, because I had all those other ones, Wii and Wii U, but the 3DS was like, man, there's something very special about having that handheld, and you can just, play it in your room or just have your own quiet time or whatever and play hours and hours. For me, it was Mario Kart 7. So I want you to have a 3DS, dude. I want to make this happen for you.
Yeah, I think you're on something though, because I mean, I had a Game Boy Advance, I had the clamshell. I mean, like
Yes.
it was the nice one with the backlit screen. And again, like the only thing I can go back to is like, oh, you got a Game Boy or a DS. Again, it's like maybe I was like too self-conscious to like carry that around in college that like I just passed on it, and I
Totally.
kind of regret it because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those Dragon Quest games are on the DS. I'd love to have replayed through the better versions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the 3DS.
Oh, so good.
Link Between Worlds, I've heard is amazing. I
My
never played
favorite.
it.
That's my favorite one. It's so good.
So I mean, actually, now that I have my OLED, like a lot of times I am like, hey, do you want the TV? Because like I'm totally fine playing handheld. So I'm kind of with you. Like Nintendo has the handheld, or has always had the handheld market, and continue to do so. Because I mean, I've helped. I have 3 Switches here, so
Nice.
um, I've contributed to them selling 10 million a quarter by adding to that. I don't need 3 Switches, obviously, right?
Who does? Nobody does. But look up, man. Like I'm contributing to the whole like 3DS number. They're all back there. They're all kind of like there for people to find. There's a bunch of 3DSs in the background. But I wanted to ask you about something you kind of touched on because like I feel the same way. I remember one time I had one. I had one friend. We were out and about. We're hanging out with some friends, and really only one of my friends in real life like was really into games, kind of the level that I would say like we're all, and like he would buy the latest thing, and he had this wonderful collection. He has a Virtual Boy like in his house,
Oh, wow.
and this crazy hardware collection that really inspired me. And him and I would really connect on like whatever we were playing on 3DS. So every now and then we would bust them out, but we would be around all of our other friends who had like zero, they couldn't care less about video games. And I remember I busted out, and one of my buddies goes over to me. He's like, "What are you, 5? Like, why do you have that?" And I'll never forget that. And it didn't really impact me. I noticed that he thought that was a kid's toy. And I was luckily enough, I was doing a lot of this podcasting stuff, and I had, his name was Rob, shout out to Rob, that I felt comfortable in spite of like the obvious judgment that was happening. And so I'm curious for you, like, do you find that in like online communities to help you just be more comfortable with the level of love that you have for video games, or is it just like growing older and you don't care, or a combination of both? But how did you get out of the kind of shying away from loving of video games to where you are now?
Yeah, I think I'm better about talking about it now, even though a lot of my friends, could care less about, especially Nintendo games. Like,
Right.
most of my friends are
We're
still
actually
into
playing Call of Duty.
and all that. Yeah, it's like, Call of Duty hasn't been good since Call of Duty 4. That's my hot
Damn.
take, so.
Wow. Okay. Just definitive. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I do like, the Discord, because you're not endless scrolling, through, a bunch of trash usually. Because like, especially like, shout out to Carpool Gaming, like everyone is so nice in that Discord. Like, that's probably why I've never been tempted to go back to Twitter or Reddit, because a lot of that stuff is just people just, trashing on each other, and it just gets old. And I don't know, like I just like how opening, for the most part, Discord is in general, that, it's like, what, like we can disagree on stuff, but we can be nice about it. Don't have to be a jerk about it. And I just find it's like nice, I guess safe space, if you will, to just come and talk. And we're all the nerds that are excited about, the super awesome Mario trailer that just came out, so.
Yes. Yes. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the Mario trailer? Tell me, what did you think about that one, man?
So I was really like the first one, but I actually was really not expecting the second one to be even better. Like, I was like beyond hyped. Like, I think I've shared before, but I'll share it now. This will be the first movie that I'm going to take she'll be 6 at the time it comes out, like, to the theater, because a lot of COVID stuff was just delayed, that kind of thing. And she's seen the trailer, she's so excited, like, when is it, and it's like, well, it's not out yet, it's a few months away. But I'm gonna spoiler with the popcorn, who knows, maybe even soda and candy, and just have a blast. And I just, I couldn't believe, they did the Mario Kart thing. I mean, that was just like, mind blowing. Rainbow Road, like, just, it seems like they really have done their homework on like what they need to include, and it was just nostalgia overload, I feel like. So
I am totally just in this moment, like so excited for you for that movie date, man. Like that is just going to be I love that it's, you know, all those things they're little treats, but they're forever memorable. Like, oh, we're going to get all the fixins. We're going to do the thing. And I have memories like when I was about that age, probably, 6 or 7 years old, and my dad taking us to see the Ninja Turtles movie and all these. And it was such a special, like, dude, and this is such a generational thing, but like the first time I ever found out that they were making a Ninja Turtles movie, it was in the newspaper. I literally remember reading that newspaper article and like, oh, like who's going to be in it? And because we were all watching the cartoon back in those days. And so just seeing that like translation, I'll never forget it. And so that's what you're creating for your daughter with this, it being like her first movie. And it's going to be Super Mario. Like it's basically like how a lot of us grew up, where what would the chances be that the first video game so many of us played would end up being the greatest of all time? Like the original Super Mario Brothers, like Tetris, like some of these things. That was our first entry point into this thing that we love so much. And for your daughter, the first movie that she'll watch looks like it's going to be spectacular, and it's Super Mario done in the best way possible. I'm so excited for you, man.
Yeah, it's just like, again, like I thought they knocked it the park with the first
Me
one,
too.
but I'm almost kind of curious, like if they do a third one, like are they gonna even go to another level? So
Do you want
like
any more at this point? Like, do you need to see any more? Like, what do you want?
I don't need to see anything. I mean, after the first, I really didn't need to see it, but I was nervous there for a long time because obviously we saw how the first Mario movie was, and Illumination kind of had a hit or miss. But I'd say so far from what I've seen, this is definitely going to be a hit.
What do you think they delayed it for? Do you think that was weird that they like it should be out like now? It should be December 2022, and then they delayed the movie. I thought that was really strange.
I'm trying to remember the timing because we had the issue with Sonic. They did the more realistic one, and they kind of scrapped that. I just kind of wonder if they had something similar, and they saw the feedback with Sonic, and they're like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
well, maybe we need to reconsider this." Also too, like Sonic 2. I mean, I've seen both of them, but Sonic 2 I was really impressed with, and I think maybe they're just seeing their competitions, pretty fierce, and they want to make sure that they either match it or obviously surpass it. But I was actually really impressed with both of the Sonic movies that came out.
I feel the exact same way. The Steelbook for Sonic is you can't even. Well, this is Rybo's favorite part of the show, where I grab something off my shelf. But I adore this movie. And I'm not a Sonic fan. Like I'm
not either.
Like not really. Oddly enough, I think I bought 2 Sonic games this year, or maybe whenever. Colors might have been last year. Anyway, I bought Colors and Frontiers, and now I've got a Sonic movie in my hand. And like, what has happened to me, man? Like, what is going on? I used to hate Sonic. It was so stupid. But I agree. I think that maybe that's what kickstarts the new era of actually good video game movies and all these different kind of adaptations that we're going to get. And of course, but like maybe at the heart of it for me, now that I'm looking at it, like Jim Carrey is just so good in these movies. And I've always loved Jim Carrey, and they let him do his thing. And now we have good Sonic movies. Who knew, dude? Only took 38 years or something like that for us to get it, but I'm not complaining
Barely
about that.
Never, right?
No kidding, man. Holy cow. Well, what else do you got on your mind, man? I feel like there's so much for us to cover, but I want to open it up to you. Like, what's going on with you, man?
Well, trying to think. I know, like I said, I've been playing a lot of Persona.
Yes.
But
for the first time?
What would you? Yeah, this is my first time.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, a Persona game. First time playing Persona 5. Yeah, like have you played it?
I played about the first 20 or 25 hours, so I'm still getting tutorials in Persona 5. I played through Persona 4 on Vita, and it's funny because I can play Persona 5 now either on PlayStation or on Game Pass, and I've always been saying the reason I didn't get more into Persona 5 was because it wasn't like a Vita experience. I wasn't on the go with it. I probably should pick it up on Switch, but I don't know. There's something holding me back. I think it's maybe the 4,000 hours of RPGs that I have as a backlog. Like, it's nothing to do with the game. I really adore that whole premise, and I played enough of it to know I do want to do more. It's just a matter of making it a priority. It's nothing against the game, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about 60 years in right now, and I did not realize it is almost like borderline visual novel. Like,
Yep.
there's sometimes like where, I might be able to play for an hour or two, and I haven't done one battle. Like,
Yep.
I'm just like, oh, it's one of these games.
It's
But I mean, the story's good, so I mean, I'm not mad about it, but
Mhm.
like, I'm just like, I wasn't expecting it. Because I played Shin Megami Tensei 5 last year, and that was like almost the exact opposite. It was like, constant fighting. The fighting was good,
Yeah.
but there wasn't a story, so it's kind of like, oh, well, kind of disappointing,
Interesting. Okay, so like I feel like it's like a black belt in RPGs. Like, are you like, what level are you like, you've earned your stripes if you're just playing Shin Megami Tensei, no problem.
Well, that was my first time playing Shin Megami Tensei, and I heard that they're hard.
Yeah. So have
that's
I.
why I didn't play the third one when they did the remaster it before, because
Mhm.
I heard that game was just like hard as nails. I beat 5. I'm not really sure how. Like, I was on that final boss, and I was going through, HP items. Like, I was literally like, reviving, and I somehow won. I'm not even sure how. Like, if I had to do it again, I'm pretty sure I would lose. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like by the skin of my teeth that I beat it. And I'm not really that big into super difficult games. Like, the only other super difficult game I can think of that I beat was Metroid Dread, and that game, I liked it. I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Yeah.
It's too stressful. The Emmys, I hope they never come back. I did not like the Emmys in Metroid Dread. They stressed me out. And I've never played Dark Souls, again, for the same reason that I have like a long day at work. Sometimes trying to get the kids to bed can be kind of a lot because they've had a long day at school. I just want to kind of kick back and relax, and
do the opposite.
I don't.
Do the exact opposite. That's you're right. That whole like story kind of like lands at a place that probably should be. I just want to be lazy and sit on a couch and play a game that I don't really have to think about. Take out your aggression, man. That sounds like a hard day. And get your sword and get that monster right in the stupid face. And if he kills you, then just like it is so rewarding. And I think you're selling yourself short. But no. Those Dark Souls games are great, and that the notion of, I feel like you're almost touching on, like the blind spots we have, or the gaps in our gaming that we have, and it's different for everybody. And it's always just interesting of like whether it's by choice or things you haven't really gotten around to. The games that seem to be everybody else has played and you haven't. Like, I guess you're getting around to that, which is Souls types games and shooters now, I guess. But are there other games that like in the annals of video games that you haven't gotten to, you wish like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that one?
Probably almost anything PlayStation, because I've owned a Xbox, 360, but never a PlayStation. So I mean, probably the one that comes to mind is like The Last of Us. I mean, I've heard that it's like one of the greatest games I've ever played. One and two.
You've got to play The Last of Us. Oh my god! I mean, not to hype it up too much. Like, that's probably the worst thing I could do. It's like, oh, it's the best thing in the world.
So I think what is slowing me down on running out and buying like a PlayStation 5 or whatever is, Sony is starting to bring some of their games to PC. You have Horizon Zero Dawn,
yep,
Days Gone,
yep,
Spider-Man. I'm sure there's some others I'm not thinking of.
Uncharted, Uncharted 4 just came.
Oh,
yep.
There you go, Uncharted. So I'm like, okay, well maybe we're gonna do Last of Us, and that would be my incentive to drill my hole in my floor to get the Ethernet cord going for the PC. So
I hope you do that this weekend. I hope that's your weekend project. Honey, take the kids out. Daddy's got a drill. Like, we all need like our Tim the Toolman Taylor moments where we just bust out the power tools and do something stupid because we just we want the outcome. We don't care how it gets done. We just want the outcome. I love that, man.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be done, right?
It just needs to be done.
But I think another thing that's holding me off a little is they're doing like a Last of Us TV show.
Yeah.
I think on HBO. So I'm thinking maybe they'll get my fix. I mean, of course, I don't think it's gonna be like the game, but
That'd be
um,
interesting to see. Yeah, especially for people like you who haven't played it, they're just going to be like, that will be their introduction to The Last of Us, is that series. And so it seems to me that they're going to be basically retelling the story of the first one and maybe even a little bit of like before the first one takes place. The DLC that happens kind of gives you a glimpse into just before the events of the first game. Are you glad that that's what they're doing, or would you rather like, or do you care because you've never really like played it before? You don't have the attachment to it.
yeah, I mean, part of me, I mean, I kind of don't think I'm gonna buy a PlayStation to play it because I haven't at this point. So I'm probably fine with them. Basically, if they're gonna retell the stories of the games, because they're
Yeah,
like, okay, good. Now it's my reason for not not buying them. But
nice.
I mean, from what I've seen and heard, I mean, I think The Last of Us just has a very interesting universe that I can see that if the show is successful, I'm sure they could, hopefully do better than what the games did. Like when they run out of the source material, that they can actually make a good story. But
Mm-hmm. And do you ever feel like do you get like a fear of missing out at all, or is it the simplicity and focus that you get of just having the Switch? And it's not I shouldn't say I'm dancing around like just because it's not like that's less than. I often think how nice it would be just to have one. I just couldn't figure out what it was. I guess I'd have to do my tournament bracket thing for that, but I don't know how to like. I don't know how to do that because I always just have to have something available. But there's something very alluring to go, yeah, I just play on this. And that's just it. Because I don't have to worry about all these other things. I don't have to divide my time between all these different platforms and consoles and everything. But you also consume gaming content where people are talking about all these things. So I'm curious how that hits you, man.
yeah, I mean, I have trouble even playing all the Switch games that come out, so I can't even
Yeah.
imagine if I had an Xbox or a PlayStation. It's just like I'm still not quite sure how the video game market hasn't crashed yet. There's so many
Mm.
games. I don't see how some of these, companies are making money back because like, people really buying all of them. Maybe they are. I mean, I know when I played mostly on Steam, I think you can go to a website and it tells you all the Steam games you own and how many hours it would take you to play them all. It kind of made
Oh
me sick to my
no.
stomach.
Oh, I don't like that at all. I don't need Okay, so this is like one of those inception moments where like I don't know if you meant to do it or whatever, but like you've just planted that seed deep, deep in my mind that one day I'm gonna come back to like I don't want to do it right now because I'm having a reaction to this. Like, no thank you. But like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, maybe a year from now, I'll be like, I wonder how many hours are in my Steam library. Like, how many is that? And I don't want to know that, man. That's hilarious.
Well, I probably subconsciously did it because Inception and really anything Christopher Nolan does, those are like my favorite movies.
I'm with you,
So
man.
I probably did do that on purpose
Hmm.
subconsciously. So
Yeah, it's in there. It's right in my cerebellum, I think. I don't know. Just in my lizard brain. Yeah. But you get focused though. Like it is nice just having well, I guess technically two. And you should be covered. I feel like there's actually a lot of people. It'd be interesting to see how many of all the people playing video games right now, is their balance Switch and PC? Because you're covered there for the most
yeah,
part.
I mean, I feel like when I was PC, if I wanted to play like the high end graphics, 144 frames, I could do that.
Yeah.
Or if I wanted to play the latest Mario or Donkey Kong. Oh, you know what? That's actually one topic I want to talk to you about. Donkey Kong. You're a big
Yeah.
Donkey Kong player, aren't you?
I think I talk a big game. I really like Donkey
Oh,
Kong.
okay.
You know what I like? Okay, so let me break it down because I feel like in podcast land and just in video game fandom in general, I feel like there's whatever, like Dragon Ball or whatever the franchise is, whatever the property is, and like somebody says like I'm a big fan, and usually I think what that means is I've seen everything, I've played everything, I know everything about it and all this stuff. I don't know if I'm that for anything, to be honest with you. I don't know if
Okay.
I'm like quite that for really any property at all. Like I'll never forget when I played Star Wars Trivia Pursuit when I was a younger kid. I've watched it, I like it, and I had no idea the depth of the questions that they were going to get into. And that was one of my first realizations that there's like this uber level of like really liking something. So I say all that to say, I really like Donkey Kong. I've played Donkey Kong Country, I've played Tropical Freeze, I've played Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and a little bit of 3. But I don't know everything about it. I don't know like the side characters and everything else. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Donkey Kong. And I'm excited for the next one. Like I want to see where they go next, because I feel like my take on Donkey Kong, at least in the recent games, is it got almost like a misguided identity, that though the identity of a Donkey Kong game was that it was hard. And that to me is not what Donkey Kong should be. It maybe is a slight element of it, but I feel like it went too much into this game is going to kick your ass.
And that's actually what I was going to ask you. So you feel like Tropical Freeze was a lot harder than, I think, the one that came out on the Wii?
And the 3DS, Donkey Kong.
Oh, see, I forgot there was a 3DS one. Okay.
Yeah, they're balls hard, man. Like they're really, really difficult. And I just felt like Donkey Kong Country, well, like it was definitely tricky. I just felt like it was whimsical. I felt like the character and enemy design and level design was on another level. I felt like the secrets were just awesome to go and find. All of the different like companions, like whether it's the rhino or the ostrich or the shark, like on guard, like all these different characters, like they were so good and so different and just felt so great, and also pushed how good a video game could look. I think that's one of the things I really miss from like Donkey Kong Country, especially. I'd never seen a game that looked that good, especially like on the Super Nintendo. So Nintendo's never really going to do that ever again. I don't think they're never going to release a game that looks in a way that like really pops. So I'm hoping that maybe they have some sort of art style that kind of makes up for it. But yeah, I feel like it kind of went down the wrong track. So you got Yoshi on one side and Kirby super easy. Although Kirby was a mix this year, which is nuts. Like it got really hard by the
boss,
end. Yeah. So you got Yoshi with like mellow mode on one side, and then you've got Donkey Kong with funky mode on the another, where it's just like so hard. So I want to see like what the next era of Donkey Kong is, because I feel like it might be different in the same way that in the next era of 2D Mario could be. Like we're still waiting on what the future of that is, and I just hope it's not a rinse and repeat of what we've had, I guess.
Yeah, because talking more about the recent ones, the Donkey Kong Returns on the Wii. My girlfriend now, my wife, she had a Wii and she loved Donkey Kong Country Returns, and we played through it on the Wii. I remember it being difficult, but we beat it.
Yeah.
And then we got the Switch. I'm like, oh, like they have the sequel. Like let's play that. And we couldn't even get past like World 4. Like
that's what I'm saying, wow. Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so like, I was kind of thinking like, okay, did they like ramp it up? Like, cause again, like we at least beat it, the Wii one, but yeah, I couldn't even get halfway through the game on the Tropical Freeze. So
right.
I was shocked about that.
The like what I remember most about my time with Donkey Kong Land especially, but Country as well, I guess, is you would beat a level and immediately see the percentage on it. Like, was it 80%, 70%, whatever? And did you get the exclamation point at the end? Like, did you find all the letters? Did you find all the secrets and all that stuff? Like, I'm not like that for most games. It definitely wasn't like that with Super Mario World. Like, there's a lot of secrets that I don't know about that one. But Donkey Kong Country, like those games, I just really wanted to 100% those games. And that's where my I guess my love for that and that franchise really lies, is I really enjoyed completing it 100%, even though we don't get achievements or trophies or anything in them. They were just really fun to get the little like, it was like a little pat on the back. Like, good for you. You did it. This game's hard. You did it. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Do you think we're getting, okay. I think you actually, you were trying to shut me down a little bit, because I made this proclamation that we're going to get some new Switch hardware and a Mario game to go alongside the Mario movie, and then Zelda next year. And you're like, actually, no, they said no hardware. Do you believe this?
Well, I think the chances of new Switch hardware is pretty high, because I bought the OLED. Because when they first announced the OLED, I'm like, I'm not buying this thing. Like, I don't need it. Like, and then, yeah, they're going to come out with a new thing. And then like, when am I going to be done? So because I bought the OLED, I bet,
that's the way the
I think
world
right
works.
now that I think right now what I'm hearing, well, Nintendo's already said that they're not releasing new hardware this fiscal year. I'm like, okay. The next day after their new fiscal year starts, they announce it.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine, like, just to be to the letter of that statement, they're gonna go whatever it is, April 1st or what? I don't even know. I think their fiscal's on the 31st, or March 31st. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe.
They're in such a hard spot right now, though. I mean, like, no one would have thought when the Switch was announced, released, whatever you want to call it, that it would just keep selling this long, this hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have like a jam that like the Switch has outsold everything else, like, I don't know, 3 years or something like that, outside of a month or two. Like, it's not, the Switch is just like an unstoppable force, it seems like. And who would want to stop that? You know, yes, it's dated hardware, but apparently that doesn't matter. Everyone's still buying it.
I'm still waiting because I would have thought, and there's probably a recording of me saying it at some point, like maybe this time last year, like their time is running out. I feel like, and that I think that notion, that narrative is getting stronger and stronger. The way Pokemon runs, I think, is an example of that, but it's a completely unfounded set of commentary, I think, because there's so many examples of games running quite well on the Switch that the notion of it's the hardware, like, I don't know if it really holds up, actually. And it's exactly the same situation we were in when the Wii was out, because we had the 360 and the PS3 like ushering in HD and everybody was playing Wii, and it didn't matter. Eventually it caught up to them, and it was either a combination of Xbox One, PS4 really being quite a bit better than what Nintendo was offering, and or the Wii U was just such this confusing, overpriced total mess, like also with no first party support. Also because they were split between console and 3DS at that time. Like, that's the stuff people really forget. And I think that's why the Switch is doing so well now. It shouldn't be a surprise, but you just have to look back like 5-6 years, well, probably between 5 and 7 years ago, when the first party like output was divided onto 2 platforms. And now they don't have that. They all just like combine onto one, and it's great. Like, of course it's great. They don't have it's the same reason why you only have Switch. It's like you get to just concentrate on the one platform. Your attention isn't diverted all over the place. Like, that's going to result in, hopefully, it's kind of a gamble though, because it kind of has to hit.
Yeah, I mean, you have Pokemon. You know, it's not running well. I haven't played it, but from what I've seen, especially with these other games coming out, I mean, I'm a little biased with Xenoblade, but Xenoblade ran pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nier Automata, that I haven't played it yet, but I've heard has run very well.
Exactly.
No Man's Sky.
Yep.
I mean, you have a lot of these games that, you know, are showing that the Switch has some life in it. Again, like, the Switch isn't going to last forever, but I really think that it's going to try to ride this, you know, horse as long as they can. And, you know, I think their biggest fear and struggle is I don't think they've really gone back to back with, you know, home run consoles. Like, they went from, you know, the Wii to the Wii U, or Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64. I mean, I like the Nintendo 64, but I think it was, you know, mostly considered not that successful.
Yeah.
So that's what I think they're looking at, is they want to try to do a back-to-back. I mean, I guess the last time maybe they had back-to-back was like NES to Super Nintendo.
That's what I was going to say. That'd be it. And even then, like, the trending kept going down. I think if you look at it, I might be wrong about that, but I'm almost positive it was like they just kept going down, down, down. And then the Wii was an anomaly of how successful it was, and now here we are once again. But they had like Game Boy was there. That's the thing, is like the undercurrent of all the rigmarole and the variability with the consoles and how much they sold was rock solid handhelds, like Game Boy Advance, you know, Pocket, whatever, DS, 3D. Like, I guess 3DS for the first little bit wasn't all that great, but in the end it totally carried through. So they've been strong ever since. But we pick and choose like what we want to talk about when saying how's Nintendo doing. Now it's just the Switch. I want now that you're on an actual podcast here and not just like commenting at one, telling us how wrong we all are. When do you think, Mr. Smarty Pants? When do you think we're gonna get a new Switch, new hardware? What does that mean? Is it a Switch 2 or a Switch Plus or whatever? Like, talk to me about what you think the next thing is gonna be.
Oh man,
not so.
I feel
easy,
like it has to be. it has to be like a upgraded Switch. Like I don't know if it's gonna be the Pro or the 2, but I don't see them moving to something completely new. I mean,
Agreed.
Nintendo typically does that. I mean, you went from the Wii to the Wii U, which was very different. But
Hmm.
I think they are seeing too much success, and you can even see with how nervous they are in abandoning the Switch that I don't think they're going to tweak it that much. I think what I'm hoping that they'll do is, whether it be called the Switch Pro or the Switch 2, that it has to be backwards compatible, I feel like.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
um, and I think what will be really interesting, because Nintendo's not had a good track record with, you buy your games on Wii U, now you can play them on Switch without paying for them, right? That are they going to then merge that Switch eShop to the Switch Pro eShop or the Switch 2 eShop? Because that's probably going back to
So
how
what
you get
is
into
it?
that.
Anybody can say what the questions are. So what do you think? What is it going to be? I'm being a dinkus about this.
So what was it, like a year ago? They said the Switch was halfway through its life cycle.
I don't know. You could have told me that was today, last year, 3 years ago. Like it probably would still all apply.
So
Yeah, recent, I guess.
I think they're gonna overlap it. So I think they had even talked about, like, Just Dance still had games coming out on the Wii, like,
Oh
in
yeah.
2020 or something crazy like that. So I could see there being like an overlap where they maybe announce the Switch 2 but still support the Switch for some, maybe um, Breath of the Wild, for example, maybe will play better, with the Switch 2 but being backwards compatible. But you can still buy it. Or I guess I'm talking about Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry, I keep calling it
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild too. So I'd say 2024.
A whole nother year with no new Switch hardware and another
That's my
Zelda launch with wow.
that's my prediction. Yeah, I think the chip shortage is really getting them
Hmm.
nervous about releasing, because Sony and Microsoft had such a tough time launching their stuff with COVID. And unfortunately, I don't think they're really showing those chip shortages getting better anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
you know what? Summer 2024.
Summer 2020. That's almost 2 full years. That's a year and a half at least.
Yeah, we'll see if I eat those words later.
I can't wait till like before this is somehow between now and like Monday when this is going out on free feeds, like we'll get some sort of news. But we haven't had a lot of, to your credit, I think the biggest thing leading credence to your prediction here is that we haven't heard anything about Switch hardware in a long time. Like it seemed like every other week. That actually is, I think, the reason that Kato left the Nintendo Drive is we just kept talking about the Switch Pro. I haven't really talked about it all that much. It seems like it's kind of gone away. So, or maybe the Game Awards. Who knows, man? Like it could be that soon. But I don't think. I think I'm on the record saying I don't think that's going to happen because they can still sell probably another 1 or 2 million units just in December, and they have not been distracting us at all with what's going on in the future. They basically are telling us like what is in the immediate future, what's absolutely next. And actually, I'm trying to think like for Switch, like what the heck is it? Like Pokemon was it. There's a Dragon Quest Treasures game coming out, but that's not first party or anything. So like, I guess they've given us the games for 2022, and I shouldn't be so harsh. They did have a pretty sweet Black Friday deal with Mario Kart 8 again. My God,
They're still trying to find people, Sean,
oh,
that
they're
have
getting
not
us.
owned Mario Kart 8 yet.
They're
There's
getting
still a
us.
few people out there.
Hey, wait a second. When is that new that Wave 3 is coming out pretty soon, isn't it?
I think the 7th. Yeah, isn't that Wednesday?
Oh, let's do this. Yes. Okay. Well, that's exciting. See, this is how they get us, man. I can bitch, whine, and complain all I want about Nintendo, but then I'm like, 8 new tracks. Yeah, I'm back. I'm happy. But I don't think I can survive another year and a half without hardware, dude. I don't know. It's going to be a rough year.
Yeah, I mean, I know 2022 is pretty much over with games, but I think 2023 is going to be looking pretty good. I'm really excited about the new Fire Emblem. I think that looks pretty good. Another JRPG for me to add to the list. But Tears of the Kingdom, what I'm most excited about is I missed the Breath of the Wild launch, and obviously that was quite a launch. And I expect Tears of the Kingdom to be pretty damn good. And I'm excited to play with when everyone else plays it.
It's going to be a moment.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are, especially after, Pokemon and all this stuff, can the Switch even handle Tears of the Kingdom? It's like, if anyone's going to make this game run well, it's the magicians at Nintendo, because they work miracles, and they have been
Yeah.
for a while. But I just that is definitely going to be like I'm taking the Monday off after work, or after it launches, to
Yes.
play some more, just because I want to lose myself
To
in
the
that game.
music.
I can't wait.
Yeah. That's something that's so funny you bring that up. I think that we should probably we all owe it to ourselves to do that like once a year. I don't know if many of us are, unless you're Kevin Ainsworth, who clearly doesn't have a job like at all. He doesn't have to worry about this sort of thing. I think we should all give ourselves like once a year, you're taking the day off for a video game launch. Like what you just kind of, I'm obviously aware that this game is coming out next year, but just the way that you kind of like laid that out, I'm like, this game is going to be massive. Like this launch itself is going to be huge, because the first one was huge in and of itself, but like with 0 systems sold, like it was the same day as the system. It was, I guess technically it was on the Wii U, and technically I do have that copy as well. But this is a Zelda game that's coming off the back of like what many consider to be the greatest of all time on a system. What is it? A base? Oh man, like how many they've sold? I'm losing all my podcasts. Install base. Thank you so much. Of like what, 120 million, something like this. Like that, and that's probably the biggest reason why they haven't done anything with hardware, to not confuse the message or anything. It's if you have a Switch, you can play the follow-up to the greatest game of the generation. Like, holy crap, man. It's going to be massive. It's going to be like Halo 3, which if you were there, or I guess just any Pokemon game.
I was outside GameStop at midnight with some buddies for Halo 3. Yeah, that was some good memories.
It's wild, man. We need that more. We need, and it, like, regardless, I think, of where you play games or what you're into, you want games to land with that sort of just explosion. And because it's exciting and it draws people in, and it's like crowds draw a crowd. Like, what's going on over there? Like, what is happening? I don't ever want that to go away, especially as it's so easy for it to do that, because we can all just buy it digitally and download it, and we all just kind of quietly play, like have a quiet launch in our own homes. Like, I think it's important for these things to make a big splash. So hopefully Zelda does that.
Yeah, and I'm kind of guilty about, I guess, killing the crowds and stuff, because
nice going.
I've been buying most of my games off Amazon, and they give me release day delivery, so it's kind of nice just coming home from work and it's there.
It's just there. I know.
I took the Monday off after Xenoblade came out, just because I don't want to waste a day waiting for my copy to come on Friday. But
it's different now. It's different though. Like what that means as far as these games that launch and it's a moment, like it doesn't necessarily mean that like you've got to burn down a city or anything like that. It could just be that like the streets are, maybe it's like the opposite, that it's just everything stops. Like the world stops for a day because there's a new Zelda game out. I think that is so cool, dude. Like, and it's everywhere and you can't escape it, but it's not in a physical sense. It's not like you're seeing a crowd of a million people in Central Park or something, or Times Square. That probably makes more sense. Kids in Central Park are playing Pokemon Go. But I don't know, just something. I don't know, something amazing. That's what I want. So I think Zelda, I actually can't believe that it's happening. 2023, we're getting a Zelda game. Like, it actually seems this is about as crystallized as it's been in my mind, is this chat with you tonight. This is exciting.
Yeah. Obviously was disappointed when it got delayed, but it gave me more breathing room, because at first I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I gonna choose, Xenoblade or Zelda? And that's been a tough decision.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially if Xenoblade's up there with the best ever. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know how many people share how tough that would be with you. I think most people would probably just default to Zelda.
Definitely. I think most people would. Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a backlog going right now? I want to ask you about your backlog and then what you're adding to your backlog in 2023. But what is it like? Are you able to mostly keep up with the things you want to right now?
So I kind of feel like I have a couple of different buckets with backlog. Like, for example, War King is technically in my backlog, but I hated the combat of that game. Like, if I actually traded games in, I would, but for whatever reason, I don't trade in games. They just sit on my shelf and collect dust, and then in 10 years, I'll Goodwill them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then like, I was talking to you about Tropical Freeze. I do kind of want to go back and play that on funky mode because obviously I'm not good enough to play it on normal mode. So I have that in my backlog. Obviously, what I mentioned with Black Friday, I guess.
Oh
that's
yeah,
in my
just
backlog
instant
now.
Black Friday. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Because actually, I think you mentioned on one of the podcasts that it's like I'm not going to buy any games unless they're on sale, but then you actually kind of make your backlog problem worse by doing that. So,
yeah, I did that for a year, man. It doesn't work. I'm telling you. At least not for me.
Yeah, it's actually with Christmas is about to get really bad because I've asked for Mario and Rabbids, Bayonetta 3, Lego Star Wars. I feel like I'm leaving one out, but I mean, most of those games are probably Bayonetta might be the shortest one, but I think you played Mario and Rabbids like 30, 40 hours?
I'm right in between there, yeah. And I didn't mainline it, but I didn't complete everything. I'm kind of somewhere in between. And I will say, Seth and Garrett and I were going to get together for a review discussion later on this week, and I don't want to stop playing it. And it's so weird because I have issues with it. It's not a perfect game at all, but like I rolled credits earlier this week, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be moving on to the next thing, and I just want to play Mario Rabbids. So, man, I don't know. I'm excited for you to play it. And I'm just getting like this, what I would love from like you specifically, since I'm chatting with you, but I would love like even in the community as well. So we get this out of the backtrackers. Like I'd love like a 4-minute, just like, what does Quagmire think about this game? Like, I can't wait for you to play all those games you just mentioned. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about them, man. I can't wait for you to experience them. And yeah, just, I don't know. I want to hear what you think. So that's why I love the Discord. I love the community aspect of all this stuff. But that's why I say everybody should have a podcast, because I want to hear what everybody has to say about stuff, dude. But yeah, you got a nice little backlog going. What are you excited for next year? In addition to Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I never played. Maybe at this point not coming out, but I never did get to play Advance Wars when it came out on the Game Boy Advance, and I was really excited when that was supposed to be coming. And I think even their last financial report, it's still TBA. So yeah. I'm still holding out hope that it will come, but I know it's not looking pretty right now. I'm actually trying to figure out. I think I might have so much attention on Zelda. I'm trying to think. Do we know anything past?
I was just wondering. Actually, I think on Switch that might have been a dead end of a question, actually. Because to my point earlier, like this is what Nintendo does. They've told us everything that we needed to buy, and it has come out, and that's basically it. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that people can. Well, you know what?
There'll be a Pokemon game or two, right?
Yeah, this is where we find out that there's still another Pokemon game coming out in. Well, actually, I think they'll finally finish the last one they released maybe in 2023. So that'll be pretty good.
Shots fired.
Monster Hunter Rise is coming to Xbox and PlayStation. That was on Switch. Did you ever play any of the Monster Hunter games?
I did the demo of Monster Hunter Rise. Nice. Yep. I liked it, but I guess I just really have reservations with multiplayer games on Switch. So I did not pull the trigger on it. Mainly because I just really the only multiplayer games I have is just stuff that I'm going to play like Mario Kart with my kids or switch bowling with my parents, like when we do like Thanksgiving or something like that. But I have heard that of most of the Switch games that Monster Hunter Rise probably performs the best. I mean, Capcom, they got something going on with that RE engine apparently. So
no kidding. What the heck, man? That's a series I would love. That's one of my like gaps in gaming. I wish I had more experience in the Monster Hunter games, but I don't know. Maybe in the retirement home that we'll all end up at playing video games together, just catching up on the decades of games that we missed out on in our youth.
Yeah, speaking of blind spots, I think you mentioned on one of the Nintendo drives recently that you never played World of Warcraft?
No, I never did. I was terrified of that, man. I was watching friends around me just like disappear to it. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely one of those people that, I don't think it was, I'm sure my parents were wondering what I was doing, but yeah, World of Warcraft was a very it was almost a lifestyle. It's the only way I
Yeah.
could describe it. It's like one of those things that, like, man, if I had all the time in the world, this would be the greatest game to play ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when it realized it literally takes all your time, it's kind of the downfall of it. But I just,
Yeah.
when you mentioned that, I'm like, wow, Sean escaped it,
Well, and it's really weird too because I was playing PC games back in those days and played a ton of Warcraft 2, like just a strategy game, and StarCraft and everything. Like I was right there. Like I didn't play as much because it didn't have any multiplayer. Like the original Warcraft, just orcs and humans and orcs. But it was Warcraft 2 and the expansion that we would just play hours and hours, especially multiplayer. So I was in that world, and it was amazing too. Like what I remember back then, it was like Blizzard seemed to be special, but I didn't know anything about really games or the commentary around it. But like they had cutscenes, and PC games didn't have cutscenes back then. That was for PlayStations and all that stuff out, and console games. We didn't really have anything too fancy. We were playing like text-based and point-and-click adventure stuff. And you started up Warcraft and it had this like amazing, like these boats in the water and everything. And so I was very captivated by it all. And I think it was the fact that people were disappearing to World of Warcraft, but also the subscription cost. Like I was really cheap, so it wasn't going to capture me. Did you listen to or watch the RPG Cave with Seth and Lockleth joining Ryan for a while?
I haven't yet want to because, even though, I don't play it anymore, I am still nostalgic, especially about, I'm trying to think when I stopped. I think I played Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. I think that's pretty much when I stopped.
What about the
early
pandas?
on.
Did you reach the pandas?
There's a couple times, Blizzard wanted to try to get you back in. So, like, I think I got an upgrade to that one because then the next one was coming out.
Yeah.
They kept doing that for a while, but I noticed they stopped. But trying to hook you back in. But I think Wrath of the Lich King for me was after that. I was just like, I think I'm done. It might have been around the same time I started working full time, and
coincidence.
Basically, World of Warcraft is a full time job, so working two full time jobs, this isn't going to work. So.
I like the idea of thinking of like people walking away from World of Warcraft and they're hanging up their keyboard and mouse or something like that just on the wall. Like I'm done. Like you just hang it up, man. I just picked up on Black Friday Diablo 2 Resurrected, and I got it as the Primeval set, so it comes with Diablo 3 as well. So I might jump into some Diablo here, but who knows?
Is this your first time playing Diablo 2? Like,
Diablo 2, yeah. I missed Diablo 2 back in the day. I grew up in a good kind, Catholic household, so like we weren't just inviting the devil in. We had a picture of Jesus on the wall, too. That was not allowed, man.
Now, Sean, you should have done what I did. I mean, I wasn't born or grew up in a Catholic home, but I convinced my parents that we are trying to defeat the devil.
Smart. Well, and it's totally this is the what were the rules, because we were going into the depths of hell in Doom. So it was just the name Diablo, and it seemed scary. So yeah. I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason. But you know what? Probably the better reason for it, because that maybe played a small part in it. I didn't feel like I could play games like I didn't think I was smart enough for games like that. It seemed like an RPG, and that always scared me. And that's why I give so much credit to a game like Fallout 3 was probably like my breakthrough. It was a breakthrough game for me that I could play complex games, because before that I didn't really do too much. I never really considered real-time strategy games to be all that complex, even though I feel now they really are. I was selling myself short on them. But Fallout 3 was the one I'm like, oh, I can do this. And then I played Dragon Age and all these other different things. And I didn't think I was able to comprehend what was going on in Diablo. It seemed like it was too complicated and too systems heavy. And that was a mistake, because I played Diablo 3 on console, and that's up there and got to be top 50, top 100 for sure, because there's just so many games. So yeah, you get excited though about the prospect of playing a little Diablo.
Well, yeah, I mean, I played it back in the day, and that was like a game that, I think back then they didn't really like track your hours, but I'm sure I had thousands of hours in the game. I mean, it was like all we did, like, there's like four of us that, we had, computer and almost doing like a LAN party type thing. We're doing runs, and, it's kind of similar to that World of Warcraft addiction, like trying to like, get that better piece of gear type thing. But yeah, I'm excited for you because Diablo 2 is probably one of my favorite games, and
I love it.
it's great.
Telling you, man, every time I chat with somebody on the show, like all I really want to do, we've got to figure this out for 2023. Locklith, you can put this in our big ongoing list. I've said it before, it's not a brand new idea, but I would love to know, like, and I would love to post it and share it, like Quagmire's top 10. Like, what's your top 10 recommended games? Or we could narrow it down into like your top 10 games on Switch or top 10 RPGs or whatever. This is where Robby Bobby Miller and I got really excited because he's doing the list. And it's like, oh my, like, yes, I just want lists. I just want to see. But I also feel like more than just an itemized kind of list of games. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of creativity and thought that goes into what would make like your top 10, your top 50. Like, how do you choose? I think that's tough. And I would like to know what goes into that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've already said it before. I guess I'd have to put Xenoblade 2 at the top.
Yeah, not that I want to put you on the spot in this moment, but yeah, like, some of the games that could be part of that conversation, I think, are just as interesting as the finalized list,
Definitely. Yeah, no, I'd probably put Diablo 2 up there too. I will, if you guys do that, I will definitely put my list in because that would definitely be a fun thing to think back of all the games. Because actually, nowadays it's so easy to see what you played, but man, like back then, like there's probably games that I loved that I forgot about, and be ashamed that I couldn't be able to list it, even though maybe it should be on the list.
I'm not kidding, man. Like, it could be, like, I could probably dedicate like 3 months of this show to just that. Like, what if we just abandon like this whatever it is now and go, okay, if you're gonna be on the show, you're coming prepared with like an itemized list, and you're gonna like, I want to hear, like, I could legitimately see myself doing that. So we'll see what the future holds, man. I've been doing this show for 7 years, for goodness sake. So
wow,
could be doing something a little different. Yeah, December 2015 was the first episode of We the GamerCast. So, and
awesome,
then
man.
Shortly after that, I lost an episode, as I mentioned before. So yeah, come a long way. Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Well, do you have anything else on your mind? Any final closing thoughts before we kind of wrap it up here?
I guess the one thing that's still been kind of lingering with me, and I just want to make sure I got your back. I totally am with you that Jar Jar Binks is the worst thing ever. So just want to go on the record there, and
I'm leaving. I'm not. You know what? Actually, even worse than leaving, I'm gonna sit in the corner like I would for Ryan whenever he's talking about stuff I don't care about.
So,
How dare you.
I know seems like you got a lot of people on the Nintendo Drive that are giving you a hard time for not liking Jar Jar Binks, but I'm on your side. I'm not a fan.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were gonna go a different direction with this. Yeah.
Oh no. I got your back on that.
You're okay. You sounded like it was gonna be a little sarcastic. I'm like, I am not gonna be privy to this. Yeah,
I normally am very sarcastic, but I was genuine. I was meant to be genuine.
He's the worst. Like, do people like? Do you think people actually like him? Like, are they just being?
I just assume that they're trolling you. That they don't
so
like him either, but they just know that they can push your buttons with it. But
yeah, make it.
Yeah, I just don't see where anyone could find value in something like that.
Thank you. That actually makes me feel 1,000 times better.
I know you're looking forward to May 5th, and I kind of am too, because that means that we're closer to Tears of the Kingdom. So
that May's going to be a good month. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, isn't that, and it should be May 4th, actually. That I know like 6 months from Extra Life is May 5th, but like, wouldn't it be so poetic for me to eliminate Jar Jar Binks from my profile picture on May the 4th on Star Wars Day itself? That would be great. But I'm gonna have to sit there with Jar Jar on I'm just putting this together right now, actually, on that day. Well, who knows? Maybe Twitter won't be there anymore at that point. So I don't really have anything to worry about, I don't think.
That's true. It's like 50-50 at this point. So.
Well, you're not on Twitter. Is there anywhere that you want to let people know where they can find you and get in touch with you, and let you know that they also agree with you that Jar Jar Binks should be wiped from the face of the earth?
No, yeah, I basically got rid of all my social media. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Reddit. I don't have Twitter. So just come see in the Discord. I'm normally there hanging out. It's probably the best place you can find me.
Sweet, man. Quagmire, you're one of the pillars in the community, man. It's been an honor and a privilege to chat with you tonight about all things video games. Thanks for carving out time. We got our kids to bed. The grown-ups are going to stay up late and talk about video games, man. Thanks for being here, dude.
Absolutely, and I'm like to think that they actually went to sleep, but with these headphones on, who knows? Maybe they've been hellions upstairs, and I have no idea. My wife is like, "When are you gonna be done with this?"
Yeah, we'll face the wrath soon enough, I think.
Thanks for having me, Sean. This has been a lot of fun, and definitely appreciate your time.
The best thing that you can do right now, unless you're driving, then it's probably the worst thing that you can do. This is amazing how it flip-flops just depending on your situation. Go to the Discord and tag Quagmire and let him know that you really enjoyed. If you did, let him know how you feel. Let him know that you listened and that you enjoyed it, man. Because that's one of the things. It's special for this show. We have someone new every single week, and it's great when we see dedicated people out there. We see the people who are listening every single week, and they get to make somebody else's week by saying, "Hey, I really enjoyed your conversation," and even bonus points for going especially this part. I just love to see it. It warms my heart and just keeps me going anyways. It uplifts me totally to go, let's just keep doing this. It's been 7 years, but we're gonna keep going. Also, that music that you hear in behind, there's a whole song. It's like a whole thing, and I think we just mentioned it. I can't remember if it was before or after. Anyways, you know better than I do, apparently. If we talked about this during the podcast or not. But the song that you're listening to, it's called Light Man. It's something that I found on royalty-free websites 7 years ago. But I've always had it, thanks to Antonio Guillen, actually was the one who told me to do this. He's like, get all your assets on a Google Drive, back it up and everything, just the intros and all these things. And back then he was helping me with the video version of it as well. So I had a Google link. I've had it up there the whole time. So I just posted that in the Discord. So if you like this track, go download the song. It's royalty-free. I don't think I'm getting in trouble from it. We've posted all these episodes this whole time, so I think it's okay. But if you've enjoyed that, you can go ahead and do that. And if you enjoy the show, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you can't do that, that's okay. Rate the show. iTunes, Spotify, get us up in that top 5. A couple of you have, and I really appreciate you guys. Drew, I see you, my friend. And if you're here at the end, I was right about you. You're here all the way to the end. 2 spots out of the top 5, by the way. It's pretty remarkable, dude. Drew Ragnar from the House of Mario. Hope you're doing great, my friend. Now, we end every single episode of We the GamerCast with a clip, thanks to Josh Stapleton. This is featuring the late, great Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru himself. This week is featuring Joe After Work, and they're talking about Metroid. So thanks to Josh for all these clips. I feel particularly proud that we've been able to honor and celebrate Bobby on a weekly basis with these little clips. It means the world to me. They're just a moment, but I'm really proud of it. Thank you, Josh, for doing that for us. And please enjoy. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
It's been a while, but so what?
It's been a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to put a little different spin on things for reoccurring guests. What is your favorite Nintendo franchise?
Oh, man. I mean, it's right in the wallpaper, the overlay over here. Metroid. No ifs, ands, or buts, dude.
What was your first taste of Metroid?
So for me, oddly enough, it was at the same time, I feel around, my memory is kind of fuzzy, but it would have to be, it was Super Metroid and definitely Samus Returns around that time, because I always played a lot of Game Boy games. So I was playing Quarth, I was playing Tetris, I was playing Super Mario Land. I played those games, and my brother had the Super Nintendo and all the games there, but I would play them whenever, because, I had a Genesis. When I was younger, I played Streets of Rage and Sonic, but we don't talk about that.
Not on this show, we don't talk about that.
But yeah, so I watched my brother play Super Metroid. That's how I found out Samus was a girl. Was watching him do all the freaking crazy things that he needed to do to, get that ending of her getting the suit completely off and everything. Yeah, it was like crazy moment there. But I played the crap out of Return of Samus. And that game, you can burn through it pretty easy now if you memorize where you're at, destroying all the Metroids and everything. But That game was hard. Like
Yeah.
I drew down maps and everything, going through like, okay, I've been here, this and the other. There was no Google to go off and pull a map from there. I didn't have a strategy guide. Like I'm over here trying to find where these 40 Metroids are, trying to knock them all out.
Yeah.
Craziness. It was the atmosphere, like overall. It's just like you're there, you're one person dealing with nothing but space, and it's very atmospheric. You have the sense that you're just completely alone.
Yeah.
And you just take it all in.
It's true. It's true. I remember the crazy thing is I remember the first Metroid I played was the original one on the NES, and I remember like it. I had no clue what the game was. I couldn't figure it out, and I just got bored with it. And then one day, Nintendo just sent people strategy guides, and these strategy guides were like a bunch of Nintendo games, not just Metroid, but it was like all their library.
Was it through Nintendo Power or something? Or
I don't know how they got my. I mean, it might have been because I had Nintendo Fun Club, which was the first magazine before Nintendo Power.
Okay.
But they sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, whatever. And I'm going through, and I'm like, this Metroid game, like maybe I'll give it a shot and try now because I had like kind of. They didn't give you all the maps, but they kind of got you heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
like a starter pack or something, you know?
I'm like, I fell in love with this. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? So now we're playing, and we beat the game. And I'm like, okay, I beat the game, put it away. And then one day, my friend was like, yo, did you know Samus is a girl? And I'm like, would you stop it? Like, Samus is not a girl. He's like, no, man, really? I'm like, why would you say that? And they're like, well, because when you beat the game, she takes her helmet off and her hair is flowing. I'm like, man, haven't you ever seen Conan? Like, Conan has long hair. Stop. There's no way a girl is that awesome, right? So then, a couple days later, a couple of his friends were playing, and they beat it, and that's when she stripped down to the bikini. And he was like, she's wearing a bikini, dude. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, my mind was blown. Because at that, I mean, I think I was like 13, 14, something like that. Like that,
Yeah.
At that age, when that happened, you're just like, this is not what I thought it was. And I thought it was amazing that Nintendo slipped that in there, but didn't tell nobody or anything like that. And then, like, she is just badass. And I've always, like, had a warm spot in my heart for her after that. And then Super Metroid hits, and that was the game that really I fell in love with.